Yeah, so Bitcoin, fairly simple idea. I'm going to get rid of this real quick. It's just not necessary for what we're looking at. You had a nice move off of our key level here at 16,611. We've been kind of hammering this level home to you guys over and over and over for the past like week or two now. You've come back, you swung fell yesterday. We talked about getting down into that gold pocket. That golden pocket was actually front run by just a few dollars, which did front run my entry actually. So I ended up gaining an entry on a reclaim of the VWAP here at about 16,656 on this impulse up. But after you swung fail these lows, you can see that you're finding your way back above the level, as you should, right? You go down to the 5-minute, and you can see exactly what starts taking place. You get the swing fail, higher low, higher low, higher low. Daily open comes in, and this is when price starts to take off. You get back above the VWAP here, 654 at the time, and above the daily open. And what you're expecting at that time is this move into this 16,919 to 16,824 region. There's an NPOC here at 16,819. So this is the box we've been targeting, that as long as you're above this level here, you can make that move. Now you'll notice I have another blue box here. That is basically just like a market structure thing. So it's one, your local gold pocket. And then two, you can see that this is like I call it the B leg. It's just letting you know where the potential range is at. It's still up to you to trade this accordingly in the sense that you need to be able to use other tools. And I bring this up because I get questions about harmonics in my DMs. Guys, do not trade off of these ideas solely. You cannot trade off of these by themselves. You do have to have other means of determining whether or not you should take that trade. If you can't do that, I would maybe take a step back and revisit the academy. That's what I would say. Trading solely off of these is not going to bring you the success that you might think. So it will bring you some, but the idea behind them is just I'll help you identify where the pivots in the market are going to be at. And this is the B leg pivot right here. So what you want to see is this level holding. It does also line up with I believe the current weekly point of control if we were to look at it. And if we were to take an overall value area in terms of this move up, right? So you can see there is your developing weak point of control. And then if you were to go ahead and take a look at this from a standpoint of just the overall move here from that structure, you can see it's also your value area high right here. So currently you are bouncing from the weekly value area high and also coming in through I believe it's the previous day high is just above this level as well. So you do have some support here that you are bouncing from, getting that test. Now, if you find your way back below the previous day high, I would be looking at this probably to come back down and, test into this gold pocket and this point of control here. And then from there, we can play the game of, is this going to see a further retracement or will this reclaim some levels and continue the march up? One thing to talk about now that we are in this realm, you're at resistance. So this isn't the greatest place to be looking for longs. Obviously, you should expect to pull back. If we started losing like the current daily open at 16,659, yeah, the uptrend looks to be a bit in jeopardy. You're probably going to take out 16,611 that's just below it, which has been that key level. And then that's when you start to look down to the bottom of the range again. You'll also be below the yearly open. We talked about that yesterday and the importance of that level. And that's when things start to look a little bit worse. And you can see that the overall point of control of the range actually does come in at 16,555. So that's the one level I have on this chart. It's all predicated off of this guy right here on ATAS, 16,555, right? So that's telling me as long as we're above this level on a closing basis, things are okay. I personally wouldn't want to come back down to here now after making this move, but it's not out of the question by any means. But as long as you're above this, pressure is on into this resistance. You start breaking back down. First sign of weakness is going to be losing this box, then daily open, etc. You start to look back down to the lows of the range, and this all looks like a scam pump, as people like to call it in the space. But if you can get back above and start putting pressure onto this 900 region, $17,000 region, because that is going to be your monthly pivot, right? We'll go ahead and bring that number over. The only thing you need to be aware of is you have a single print just above. For me, the numbers were 17,095 to 17,302, which does put you into the range highs, which would make sense because you're above the point of control. You're above the time point of control of the range, which has shifted up. I'm sure Max can go into detail about, what that means when you have a TPO POC above the volume point of control. And you're looking for that move into this region potentially. It doesn't look good if the TPO POC is shifting up the volume's down below and you're failing to break out though and actually make the move, it does look like it'll then come back down, right? So it does need to start getting continuation, in my personal opinion, and get through this single print. And if you get through the single print and things get really wild, you could see the quarterly pivot all the way up to like 17.8, but that's out of the question for right now, just because we're working off of the local levels. And what I would do is I would mark off my local highs here, near this monthly pivot, near this single print. And you can see 17,048. And you could see probably another one right here if you wanted to mark it off, and just that way you have it for swing fails. You can mark these and put alerts there right near the pivot. You move into this, you get the swing failure. You can then trade it back down to the nearest support, wherever that may be for you, depending on what kind of trading you do. So that would be the trades that are available. And that is why I got long yesterday. Looking for a long. I've been hunting for one, is what I've said. I have hit take profit one. I am going to leave some of it to run because it's a pretty low risk position, meaning that my entry is good. My invalidation is pretty clean. So I've already paid for fees. If it does come down here and take me out, I'm not going to lose any money on fees at that point. So it's kind of a risk-free trade, I guess, in this case at this point. So I would love to see this get continuation. But if it doesn't and it comes back down and we lose these levels, I'm head short from higher. So it's one of those things where it's kind of a luxury position at this point, where I can pick and choose which trades I want to take going forward. Now, if we got like a swing fail up here of these levels, I might consider opening a separate short in a different account, because I did miss this one right here. I didn't catch this SFP of the high, which I don't know if Max did or not. I know he was going live later in the session, so I think that might have already occurred before he was up this morning. I guess it's technically evening for him there, but I don't think I have anything else on Bitcoin. Pretty simple stuff, guys.